perfection, masterful, sublime. Insert other non-adequate adjectives to describe them. Holy freaking... The theory gates were open last night. What's up, Twitchlets? My name's Mr. Twitchy. If you're new here, welcome to the channel and the video. However, if you're a familiar face, welcome back. Today I'll be reviewing the My Hero Academia movie, Heroes Rising. First things first, this video will contain spoilers from the manga. However, I will keep my initial discussion spoiler-free up until a certain point to give you anime-only viewers a chance to click off in case you'd like to remain spoiler-free. Because of this, I'd like to ask you manga readers to help me pick up the slack for this drop in viewership by liking the video. I won't be asking too much for that on my videos, but I did put a lot of time and effort into this specific review, so I'd appreciate you helping me out with that. One of the goals of this video is to earn your subscription with my analysis and theories, just like I try to implement in my other series that I cover, of which that includes My Hero Academia Vigilantes, Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, and Black Clover. Additionally, I'm getting into One Piece this year, the anime. I'm at about episode 70 or so. If reactions, reviews, and theory crafting in particular are your cup of tea, shout out to you, Gentle, my boy. Take a look at some of the playlists on my channel for those type of videos. With that being said, let's get right into it. The main question on everyone's mind, I'm sure, can anime-only viewers who have only seen up to episode 82, season 4, episode 19, go to see this movie? Absolutely. But with a catch. Episode 82 of the anime covers up to chapter 172 of the manga. There is one major spoiler from chapter 213. So if the season ends right about where I think it'll end, and season 5 has the same sort of pacing, that would be about the mid-season finale surprise for season 5. Additionally, there was a medium-sized spoiler from chapter 221 that I saw around episode 15 of season 5, and other various minor spoilers such as like costume changes for some of the heroes and various relationships / power-up moves that season 5 won't cover until it's in the thick of it. So before you anime-only viewers click off, I'll give you two movie scores. The first one being my enjoyment, the second one being a more objective movie score, for lack of a better term. My enjoyment for this movie, 9.9 out of 10, loved it, it was excellent, and my objective score for the movie was a 9 out of 10. I did have two minor problems with the movie, but I'll get into that later. And before you go, anime-only viewers, I want to thank you for watching if you've watched this far. I'm about to go into spoiler territory, so if you appreciate the fact that I gave you ample time to click off, leave a like before you leave. I try to go out of my way to make titles and thumbnails as spoiler-free as possible because I've had terrible luck with spoilers. My Hero, Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, you name it. So this is your official countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Last chance. Alright, what's up my manga readers and anime-only viewers who don't care about spoilers or were already spoiled? I'm sorry for your loss. This won't be a typical review that covers the surface level points of the movie. I want to go more in depth than that. Everyone and their mother do the surface level analysis. The visuals were incredible. What else is new? Studio Bones at the helm. The Sakuga shown for the one for all duel fight with Bakugo and Deku versus 9 is actively blowing my brain, and I saw it last night. So if that's any indication, you should definitely go see it yourself if you're a My Hero fan. Primarily, I want to talk about certain scenes and their symbolism or theories that popped into my head as I watched. I love theory crafting to death. That's what motivated me to start the channel in the first place. That being said, let's get right into it. To start off the film, we get My Hero Grand Theft Auto Round 2. Badass as always. Loved the first one. Slightly underwhelming in the anime, but with what they gave us for episode 13, I'm not complaining. The prominence burn by my boy Endeavor was superb. Him fighting Dobby, who was hanging out the top of that cargo ship, insane. I love the blue and red fire spiral that resulted from the two of them clashing. And for anyone who's joining me for the first time, I do have a theory that Dr. Ujiko helped fake Toya's death when he was a child after he was taken to the hospital for his burn injuries. Dr. Ujiko then lied to Endeavor and told him that Toya died, but then he told the young child that he would be free to live his life however he saw fit. In Japanese, the word dabi is a part of the phrase dabi nifusu, which translates to cremate the body, We don't specifically see an urn in chapter 249 when Toya's shrine is first revealed, but Endeavor's body is blocking the bottom portion of the shrine, so it's possible that Toya's fake ashes are stored in an urn sitting on the bottom shelf, obscured by Endeavor's back, while Dabi runs around committing villainous acts to spite his father. That quick theory aside, let's move on. Seeing all the members of UA's Class 1A work together at the start of the film was great for two reasons. One, I think it was a subtle hint at the type of combo moves they'll have to use during the war arc that we're currently starting, maybe? And then also those specific techniques that they might have developed in My Hero's third spin-off series, My Hero Academia Team-Up Missions, which they need to license Volume 1 of that as of like yesterday, because I can't find any chapters besides Chapter 0, and it's a literal need for me right now with my Hero addiction. Oh, and speaking of team-ups, I think the next quirk to manifest within Deku is going to be a sound-based quirk. He worked with Jiro and Uraraka to locate Katsuma at the start of the film, and I think that Deku will obtain quirks in the future that will require him to ask for advice from his classmates in order to master them after they lose the war with Shiggy and the squad. He's already developed shoot style after watching Ida and Bakugo. His black whip is similar to Mineta's ball and whip chain and Sero's quirk, who was the MVP of this movie outside of Bakugo and Deku. He was the third best MVP, so bronze MVP. Gotcha. And now float is starting to awaken within him. I don't need to patronize you by pointing out the potential similarity to Uraraka's zero gravity quirk outside of this brief statement. Also, as I think more and more about it, I'm starting to come around to the idea that Bakugo will be, has always been the second One-For-All user, and that Kirishima is the third One-For-All user. I'll touch more on this thought later in the video, so bear with me as I bombard you with theories. Sorry about that. Oh, and I also believe that Kirishima could be Gigantomachia. If you're interested in a further explanation on that statement, check out my reaction video for chapter 261. Like I said, it'll be in the playlist of my channel. After Katsuma and his sister Mahoro play a prank on Bakugo and Deku, the villains hit land on their cruise liner. OST kicks it up into Plus Ultra mode here, and we're treated to a couple of new tracks for the first course of this action buffet. However, it's not good enough as both Bakugo and Deku are defeated by Nine after Nine comes to the conclusion that he doesn't have enough room left to steal all of the potential quirks within Deku's body. As a quick side note, I will say that I was not a fan of them just casually dropping this major spoiler on the anime-only audience. As your boy Roshi said in his review video, that's not how they marketed it to fans whatsoever. They promised light spoilers, but that reveal likely won't be until the Season 5 mid-season finale surprise. Garbage. Absolute trash. This exposition by Nine caused me to drop the score for the objective portion of the movie by 0.5 alone. Really upset that they included that. Then, when Bakugo and Deku are both unconscious, Katsuma gains the courage to use his quirk on the both of them in order to try and heal them after witnessing their bravery in trying to save him and his sister. Katsuma's arc in this movie was a pleasure to see. He started off as a timid boy who admired heroes, just like Deku. He took the first step to defend his sister, and then later he received the validation and encouragement from Deku that he too could become a hero. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, so back into the plot of the movie. Upon waking up and learning of the situation, Deku does what Deku does, and devises a strategy to try to protect the Shimano siblings until help arrives from the mainland. Deku's my favorite character from My Hero, and he's got a firmly grip on that #1 spot. He has the battle tactics of Captain America, the conviction of Thanos, strength of Hulk, and the quirks needed to be an intimidating mix of the Flash and Spider-Man one day. Endgame Deku is going to be scary as shit. If you do want to know some of my other favorite characters, check out 326 specifically on my Hero 260 reaction video. I found the specific time for you so you don't have to click all around if you don't want. After an incredible Aoyama moment where he goes Plus Ultra with his navel laser, and a slightly underwhelming Momo moment, spoiler alert, she's my favorite female character in the show. Go check out the video. Chimera and Slice are separated from Nine, Keikakudori style. You all know how these fights turned out, but I will briefly say some of the highlights for me were the Uraraka moment where she unleashed an avalanche of boulders onto 9, Tokoyami with his dark Wolverine claw attack against Slice, and Todoroki deep freezing Chimera like a popsicle. Whew. That was rough. As I was watching that scene and seeing the ice equivalent of Endeavor's prominence burn, a couple of ideas popped in my head for his hero name. Let me know what you think in the comments, but these are the 3 that I thought up. Ice Burn, Frostfire, and Freeze Burn. That last one just being somewhat of a joke for the freezer burn. I will say of the 3 that I speculated on, I love Frostfire the most. It just sounds mythical like a George R.R. Martin book. But with that being said, Todoroki did take somewhat of a back seat in this movie, so much so that I think I'd argue that he was underutilized. Toto and Momo shippers got the short end of the stick for both ends of the stick. I don't have much to say about the first part of Deku and Bakugo fighting 9, other than the fact that Bakugo using X catapult to catch, then proceed to throw Deku in midair back at 9 was phenomenal. After 9 defeats the main duo and the remaining trio of Jiro, Ojiro, and my boy Shoji, 9 then takes Mahoro captive and tells Katsuma to Koi Gaki. If it weren't for the explosion of Sakuga, you see what I did there? At the climax of the movie, this moment with Katsuma would have been my favorite part of the movie. Without a doubt. Him jumping into action just like Deku did back in middle school to save Bakugo from certain death was the scene that hooked me to My Hero Academia. And the fact that they did a callback to this in the same movie that Deku passed on One For All to Bakugo, more on that in a second, it's fucking incredible. I can't say anything more about it. That was the moment that Deku's rise to the top started, and this manga canon movie, I might remind you, could have been the end of his run as the 9th user of One For All. On that note, I do have a theory about what happened in the movie between Deku and Bakugo. I'll briefly explain that before finishing up the video with my thoughts on that battle. Alright, so in chapter 257, which was released on January 19th in the US, it was first hinted that All Might was meeting Stain. Now, I theorized in my chapters 258 to 259 reaction video that one of the past quirks of the One For All users was related to blood, and this movie may have pseudo-confirmed that. When Deku transferred One For All to Bakugo, he did it by placing his blood, with the intent of transferring the power, into a cut on Bakugo's finger. In chapter 2, All Might said, "Eat this." The famous face that Deku then imitates later on. It really doesn't matter what it is that you eat, as long as it's my DNA. Additionally, in response to Deku saying, "I don't feel myself transforming," in chapter 3, All Might said, "Of course not. You need time to digest. You'll start to feel something in a few hours." How was Bakugo able to instantly use One For All in the fight against 9? I speculate that the quirk core of One For All in Deku that involves the transfer of One For All is related to blood. Otherwise, how are we to take the developments of this movie? Anime logic? This movie was confirmed to be manga canon by Horikoshi, and 9's presence alone, he showed up in chapter 222 if you forgot, in Shiggy's flashback collage, supports this statement. Another comment that Horikoshi made on this movie was that there were elements in it that he had originally had in mind for the conclusion of the series. This, I'm assuming with a fair amount of certainty, would have been the Deku and Bakugo team up sharing of One For All in order to defeat Endgame Shiggy. He then joked and said something along the lines of, "I'll make a better ending anyways." Imagine, the scene is a battleground. The heroes on one side, the villains on the other. Deku's in the front, and so is Shiggy opposing him. We've seen that One For All has, over time, boosted the other quirks within Deku, Black Whip being more powerful. But what if One For All itself reaches its peak? Deku places one hand on the shoulder of Bakugo, one hand on the shoulder of Todoroki. Bakugo then places one hand on Kirishima, if the theory from my chapter 261 live reaction falls flat. And Todoroki places one hand on the shoulder of Ida or Momo. Then, as all the heroes connect, One For All produces a shockwave of power and electricity that is shared amongst all the heroes. so that they can try and defeat the overwhelming doom and gloom of the villain side. Cue the Avengers Assemble battle cry as both sides run towards one another for a final battle. Horikoshi loves his Marvel references, specifically Spider-Man, and a lot of references to Spider-Man are in his manga series. If they have an endgame-like final battle between the two sides, I would lose it. Speaking of final battles, let's get back into my thoughts on the climax of the movie. I was, because of course I was, unfortunately spoiled on the twist that Bakugo teamed up with Deku using One For All months ago, and I was also spoiled on his Season 4, Episode 13 Infinite 100% form. Whatever. Couldn't help it. People on YouTube with their thumbnails and titles just love spoiling people, either for views or for clout. Who's to say? But the sheer amount of plus ultra goodness that we were showcased in those 5 minutes, some of the most breathtaking and awe-inspiring animation pieces I think I've ever seen in my life. The hyper beam of shonen resulting from the duo punching upwards into the sky, Bakugo losing the feeling in his arm from the kickback of One For All, flopping around like old school Deku. Both of their eyes turning pale as white after their irises were on fire back like in episode 76. And the final smash of Deku as the embers of One For All went out when he completed his kick, just like All Might did in his fight against All For One. Perfection. Masterful. Sublime. Insert other non-adequate adjectives to describe them. Holy freaking shit. Everything about those last 5 minutes is the reason why My Hero is currently my second favorite series of all time, just behind Attack on Titan. In conclusion, I'd give this movie a 9.9 out of 10 in terms of how much I enjoyed it. I had to knock off 0.1 off of the score because of the fact that Bakugo conveniently forgot that he used One For All with Deku to defeat 9. I absolutely hate that trope in anime, or storytelling in general. It also earned a solid 9 out of 10 objective score as a movie. The pacing in the beginning of the movie and then the major spoiler drop of Deku's other quirks by a movie marketed as only having minor spoilers, each had the score reduced by 0.5. If you've watched this far in the video and haven't left me a like, did I earn it? Let me know. As I mentioned earlier, this took a ton of time to script, record, and then edit, so I'd appreciate it if you could incentivize me to continue making this type of content on my channel in the future. Subscribe if you loved the video, check out the description for my Reactor's Code of Ethics, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. My name is Mr. Twitchy. See you later. Bye.